Look, I'm solo at the desk, but not solo on the show. Got to bring in former Packer and champion Fox NFL analyst Greg Jennings. So, Greg, you have an issue with your boy Aaron Rodgers taking a shot at your former team.
Absolutely not. This is what he does, man.
Oh, we're going there.
Come on, he's gonna always give you that subtle punch. If you try him, he's gonna try you. But no, what he's saying is this team didn't know that he was going to be playing at this level. They didn't know that the relationship, if you will, would have been what it is right now, currently as it stands, and that is very, very good. Both Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers have gotten along great. I didn't believe that was going to be the case going into this because of what Aaron Rodgers provides, just his level of IQ, and with a young quarterback or a young head coach coming in, knowing how much you're going to have to defer. But Matt LaFleur has done a great job of holding his ground, but also understanding I have a future Hall of Famer. So I'm going to have to defer. I'm going to have to give and take. I'm going to have to allow this offense to become ours collectively. And that's why it's worked. Now, what he's talking about with some people not believing that he was going to be where he is and what he is and play as long as he's going to play. Yes, the Packers drafted Jordan Love for various reasons. They didn't see him playing like this. They didn't even potentially see, they had concerns possibly on, will this relationship work, as I alluded to earlier, but more importantly, his age. And when we all understand that we can't all be Tom Brady, we can't all be LeBron James. And so you have to prepare for what is going to be. And that is typically the end of the road for a lot of players that starts to get in their upper 30s.
I'm with you there. I don't have a problem with him taking a shot at the Packers because the Packers took a shot at him. And their shot at him was direct. They drafted at his position. Not only drafted, but in the first round. Like when the family's just coming over to draft day and say, who the Packers pick yet? Oh, they picked Jordan Love. Ain't he a quarterback? Yeah. Don't you play quarterback? Yeah. That's a direct shot. So Aaron taking a few months to take a subtle shot at the Packers organization, I don't have a problem with it, because if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're like, look, the only reason you're going to take this directly is if you feel guilty, because I'm making this a buckshot. It's for everybody. It's not a rifle shot where I'm directing it at one person and being specific. I'm just taking a shot at all those naysayers, all those who read my birth certificate and said I couldn't continue to play at a high level, all those in the organization that supported the Jordan Love drafting. That's who Aaron Rodgers is taking the shot at. Aaron Rodgers is taking the shot at me as well, somebody who was exaggerating his decline because of the numbers specifically. But if you look at Aaron Rodgers in terms of rebound or whatever they were forecasting of him this year, number one quarterback by Pro Football Focus rankings, first in passer rating, first in passing touchdowns. So it sounds like the people in the organization are bad weathermen. They just can't predict the future. They don't know what's coming. But in terms of Aaron Rodgers being dominant, he's been that way, and it seems like he's still that way.
And I'll add this. When you look at Aaron Rodgers and you look at what he's been able to do this year, he's provided everything that they've wanted that they didn't believe he still could potentially do. They knew that he had done it, but could he still do it? The answer is yes. And so when you are playing at a high level, you have every bit to stand on to shoot any shot you want to shoot. And he's taken his shot. And I don't mind it, again, because if you want to stay, you better play. And he is doing every bit of playing for this Green Bay Packers team.
Hey, it's funny when you talk about having the hammer, the leverage. There was a couple times in my career where I had the hammer and I knew it. Boy, you couldn't tell me nothing when I knew I had that hammer. And you got to swing it when you got the hammer, because trust me, when they have the hammer or when the rabbit got the gun, oh, they're going to make you pay for it. And Aaron Rodgers knows that. He knows that the writing was on the wall. He doesn't know who wrote it. He doesn't know why they were writing it, but they were writing on the wall, Aaron Rodgers is done. And Aaron Rodgers has seen this before, being a historian of the game. Watch Tom Brady back in 2014 when they drafted Jimmy Garoppolo. And Tom Brady was like, oh, really? Let me just take this Patriots organization to 3 more Super Bowls and win another MVP since y'all think I'm in decline. And these type of competitors, guys with this level of ego, this level of game and production, we're talking about some of the greats of all time. They don't want to hear that their career is over, not on their terms, but on your terms. And what were those terms? Just his age, basically. Like, his age was underlining every single critique that they had of Aaron Rodgers. But now, since he's out there balling, they have the good relationship. They're out there winning games again. Let's not forget they won 13 games last year on an NFC championship game. He's now in a position where he's the best that he's ever been in the red zone, 24 touchdowns, not a single interception. And the last 4 games, completing over 73% of his passes with 13 touchdowns. Dude, Aaron Rodgers is not only saying, y'all some fools for doubting me, but now he's making them look foolish for ever even considering putting somebody else in that position. Got to bring in somebody else to help out in this conversation. Fox NFL analyst Bucky Brooks. So, Bucky, you have an issue with Rodgers taking a shot at the Packers?
Well, I mean, I do have an issue with him taking a shot because the only reason Jordan Love was drafted because he wasn't playing well up until this season. He had declined in terms of his completion percentage, his passer rating. So as a team, you have to begin to take steps to protect yourself if he doesn't turn it around. Now, it's great that he's playing at an all-time level. He's back to being the Aaron Rodgers that all the Packer fans know and love. But if you're Brian Gutekunst, you have to make this move to protect the franchise. We all talk about the quarterback being the most important position on the field. You do not want to get caught without a quarterback. One of the reasons the Packers have consistently been title contenders because there was a nice handoff from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. What you didn't want to have happen was Aaron Rodgers to no one, and then you're floundering around trying to figure out who is going to be the next quarterback for our franchise.
But Bucky, I would come back and say this. You talk about his numbers being down, but when we look at Tom Brady, we look at some of these older quarterbacks that are older, and we look at their personnel that are around them. The first thing we allude to is, oh, well, look at the personnel or the lack thereof. When we look at Aaron Rodgers, when he got the baton handed off to him, what he was able to walk into offensively as far as skill guys was a plethora of guys. He's always had that. And now when you have a young quarterback that can make guys around him better, do that for so long, I believe that kind of allows you to become a little crippled, a little complacent into pulling the trigger on getting more assets around him to say, you know what, we need assets around him to now help him continue to play at a high level. And that's what the Packers had not done. And they still haven't done that. And so this is why I say take your shot, because even with the trade deadline, they didn't pull the trigger on another receiver. Do they need another receiver? Yes, they do. They need someone that can add to what he does well and help them in the offensive passing attack. They can't just depend on Devontae Adams to be that guy. MVS has been up and down. Has he made plays? Yes, but he's been up and down. Alan Lazard has been in and out of the lineup. So they don't have that other guy that Aaron Rodgers can turn and look to and say, okay, go get me $150 or go get me 110 today. He's always had that extra guy, and so he's always performed with that extra guy, and now all of a sudden you take all these weapons away and expect him to just be spectacular. As you alluded to, they were still 13-3. He still got it done. They did get to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, it's crazy that the miscues of players are for the entire world to see. But the miscues of an organization and sometimes even coaches, we get hush-hush on those situations and hush-hush in those moments. When you're Aaron Rodgers, you're looking at this organization like, hold on, dog, this can't be true. Over the last 9 years, in the 3rd round or higher, they've only drafted 1 wide receiver, and that's Ty Montgomery. In the last 9 years, including no wide receivers in any round in the last 2 drafts. Just this draft that just passed, they could have taken wide receivers. 10 of the wide receivers that were taken in the draft that they passed up on have multiple touchdown receptions. We all know about Chase Claypool, but others. The point being, you don't even have to draft a wide receiver that high to get production. But Aaron Rodgers is sitting there saying, you want to draft high at my position when I have this high level of production? You keep saying, Bucky, well, he was in decline and he fell to this level. What level was that? It's funny in the NFL, we can look at the same thing differently. You can look at someone's numbers, and one could be for those numbers, and one could be against those numbers. I give it to you like I felt it as a defensive end. We used to know that you had to climb up the mountain to get your money, because if you were going down the mountain, obviously they weren't going to pay you. If you want to get 10 sacks in a 3-year career, you could do it 2 ways. You could go 1 sack, 3 sacks, and 6 sacks. And you know what? That next year, they're going to be like, yo, we got to pay this dude. He's up and coming. But imagine if you come out your rookie year, have 6 sacks, then 3 sacks, and then 1 sack. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, we got to stay away from this dude. He's in decline. 10 sacks, 10 sacks, both 10 sacks. We looking at Aaron Rodgers like his decline fell to a level where he still didn't give us top-level production. He was still producing at a top level, just at the bottom tier by his own standard.
I understand this. You guys are 2 great guys. You guys are very affectionate. You guys are loving hard. You guys are loving Aaron Rodgers hard. But I'm going to go and I'm going to break this down to you, having spent some time in Green Bay and kind of understanding the philosophy behind it. Because Greg was talking about the personnel and the talent. And I'm so glad that Greg brought that up, because I wanted to bring up the philosophy. So what happened, Greg, I think, was a 2nd-round pick. He played along James Jones, who was a 3rd-round pick. Donald Driver was there, who was a 7th-round pick. Jordy Nelson was a 2nd-round pick. Randall Cobb was a 2nd-round pick. Going all the way back to when I was there, they never thought that it was important enough to invest a 1st-round pick in the wide receiver, because they believed they could develop them and the system would elevate the players that played in the system. So that's why it's never been a high priority to go out and get a 1st-round pick. Now, when you look at Aaron Rodgers, and I'm saying the completion percentage was down, the passer rating was down. Matt LaFleur is looking at this system that he's bringing over from Sean McVay, and he's saying, how did we elevate the quarterback that we had with the Rams, Jared Goff? Oh, by having a dynamic running game. We would use play-action pass, bootleg and movement stuff, things that would make the game easy. So what they were trying to do was load up on that personnel, A.J. Dillon being a big back, to go with Aaron Jones and others to help Aaron Rodgers play as he got older, to allow the system to take some of the load off of him. Now, he is playing great, but I can't fault Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst for saying, how can we win if our quarterback is in decline? Let's make sure that we have a system in place to elevate him as he beginning to fall back to the pack.
Let me say this about my guys being drafted in the 2nd round, myself, Jordy, and James Jones being drafted in the 3rd round. When something works, when something has proven to be successful, it's easier to stick to that. But once you find out, oh, well, we missed here, it didn't work this year, it didn't work that year. Once you start finding out it doesn't work anymore, or it hasn't worked in a minute, you better change some things up. And I get it. Yes, were they thinking globally, meaning they understand Aaron Rodgers is getting up in age. We want to support him. We want to establish a running game. I have 0 qualms with that. But what Marcellus is saying is, you drafted all your receivers that were great and were good 2nd round or lower. And now all of a sudden you want to go and grab a quarterback who hasn't proven anything. You actually trade up to go get him in the 1st round, thinking that, wait, I might be walking out the door sooner or later, or my level of play has declined that drastically. There was no reason. And again, I was for them. I supported them in drafting Jordan Love because of that very reason, being prepared for if Aaron Rodgers does decide to leave. Never was it because his play had fallen down to the wayside.
So now here's the thing, Greg, because I think you were there when Aaron first got there. The thing about Aaron is no one knew that he was going to be the superstar that he was. And it took him about 3 preseasons to kind of shake the stench off of, hey, is he going to be a real player? So all of the conversation that we're hearing about Jordan Love, let's just pause a minute, because it took the great number 12 a little bit to settle in. Maybe Jordan Love will pay it forward by playing great when Aaron Rodgers eventually passes the torch to him.
Wait a minute. I thought Aaron Rodgers was supposed to go 1st overall in that draft, but he failed to 24th overall. And now all of a sudden, we're going to rewrite history. Bucky going to put his glasses on.
Look at the preseason numbers. Look at the preseason numbers when he was there.
What the hell
look at
that
the
got to do with anything?
Because the conversation wasn't that he was a sure thing. It wasn't. Go back, do a little research. It's all right there for you.
Wait a minute. Well, he fell in the draft because of attitude conversations that they had, which in part have come true. But come on, man. They had Brett Favre there who had a bad year once they drafted him. But after that, Brett Favre even rebounded. You can't put that all on some preseason numbers with Aaron Rodgers. This is a situation that as soon as Aaron Rodgers hit the ground, he hit it pretty fast and started to roll to the tune of winning the championship with Greg Jennings.
3 years.
Yeah, wait a minute. A 24th overall pick wins the Super Bowl in 3 years, and you think that's a slow pace?
No. It took him 3 years to start. He didn't start right away.
Excuse me? If you were behind Brett Favre.
He's behind.
What the hell?
Thank you. Thank you. He's behind Brett Favre. You weren't going to.
They drafted Jordan Love so they could slow cook him like some grits and then make a nice breakfast meal up in Green Bay. They didn't get him to go right now unless your boy completely fell off. He hasn't fallen off, so he gets an opportunity to stay. But Marcellus, competition is great for everybody.
Yeah,
everyone
I like competition. At my position, competition is great because we can rotate in. Hey, Wiley ain't getting his sacks, bring in the other D lineman. At quarterback, you ain't rotating. So how is the dude even going to develop? We're going to look at some more Bucky preseason numbers to see that Jordan Love is developing. Oh, let's stick him in there and give him the keys to the franchise. That's not how it worked, Bucky. This is a situation where they should win now. They were 13-3 last year.
I love this.
Huh?
You did this for Bruce Smith. You were supposed to
wait a minute.
Bruce Smith.
Two things.
It's the same thing.
Two things. I needed those 3 years. Trust me, I needed those 3 years. And in those 3 years, there was no pressure on Bruce Smith that Wiley was coming. That's a whole different situation. And I got to get my opportunities game by game, where Jordan Love's not getting any of that seasoning. And that's rich seasoning you need to have the confidence to take the keys of a franchise from an all-timer and a future Hall of Famer. They needed a position player. They needed receivers. They're ready to win right now. They were one game away from the Super Bowl last year. And this year, there's no powerhouse NFC team that scares the Green Bay Packers. But if you look at it by the numbers, they got an undrafted guy starting at tight end in Robert Tonyan, who's nice, but still undrafted. And their number 2 wide receiver, Alan Lazard, is undrafted as well. It's just crazy that they're going to make Aaron Rodgers go out there and try and cook with such few ingredients, or at least premium ingredients, like you think a franchise quarterback deserves.
They had a guy in sights, but someone swiped him before they got there. Brandon Ayuk was the guy that they wanted. He was snatched up. Sometimes you can't get the guy that you want.
Bucky, there are at least 10 receivers in this draft who have multiple touchdowns. 10. You name one. I named one. There are 8 others. They didn't even think about those other guys, but they wanted a bench rider in Jordan Love just to put some pressure on the future Hall of Famer. Ignorant.